What's up, guys? Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand podcast. This week, I have my longtime friend, Taylor Crosby. You guys have probably seen his content on Instagram and on YouTube. He's a top instructor. I mean, he's a top 100 instructor for under
Not
40,
yet.
top
I wish.
40.
Yeah.
You're
There
going
you
to
go.
be there
Yeah.
for under 40, which
Yeah.
is quite amazing if you think about it, because there's a lot of instructors out there that would kill to be on the Golf Digest list. And this guy's on it because he's that good. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited about it. Can't wait.
So, where are you located at?
I am in Greensboro, Georgia. So we're an hour east of Atlanta, hour west of Augusta. So we're halfway between Masters and Eastlake. Augusta National and Eastlake. We're
That's
halfway.
cool. Have you been to the Masters?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Growing up, we went all the time because I grew up in Athens, Georgia. I mean, an hour and a half from Augusta. We went.
Did
We
you
went
go to
almost every year.
UGA?
I did. I played golf at Georgia and
Did you
NC
really?
State. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I had a roommate in college who was like parents met at UGA, right? So like they're like
Nice.
oh UGA, and I was like, what's UGA? But I mean that was back then. I know what UGA is now. Like the dog, the
They're
bulldog.
the best, dude. I mean,
Like
2 in a
told me this
row.
story of like his parents like met. They were like he was in a fraternity and then she was in a sorority, and the way they met is they were tied to a tree together for some kind of like hazing thing. I don't know what it was. They
That's
fell in love.
beautiful.
Like that was the story. I was like, that's a weird story. I don't know.
That's a great story. That sounds very Athens. I like it.
So you grew up in Georgia. So I always ask this question, but it's gonna be a dumb question. Obviously, you're a golf pro, right? I always ask, "Oh, you're a pro," and then people are like, "No, I'm not a pro. I'm a whatever handicap." So, like, have you always like? When did you start playing golf?
I mean, I had a plastic club in my hand from the time I could walk. My dad was a golf pro down in St. Simons when he got out of college. My grandfather was a really good player, and so I've always been around golf. But growing up in Atlanta in the early '90s, I wanted to play for the Braves. I wanted to be a
Baseball.
pitcher.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be Tom Glavine because I do everything left-handed except for play golf and pack a dip can. Those are the two things I do right-handed, and that's about it. So everything else left-handed. So I wore number 47 for Tom Glavine. Like wanted to be that guy. I mean, like that's what I've always wanted to do. But I'm 5'8" and didn't throw very hard, so golf was probably the better choice.
Did you like get lessons as a kid in like the whole 9 yards, or when did you really start taking golf seriously?
I really probably didn't start taking it seriously till I was, I don't know, 8th, 9th grade.
Oh,
Like
really? That's
for
kinda
real,
late.
yeah.
I mean, not like you probably played with your dad. And you're probably like
Yeah.
okay, but
I mean,
like
like we played. I was always okay.
yeah,
But I didn't start playing like a lot of tournaments. Like I'd play in little local 9-hole tournaments when I was 11, 12, right around
yeah,
there.
that'd be
But
fun.
yeah, I mean, it was more just we got to go out to the golf course and eat chicken fingers and go to the pool. It was more what it was about then. And then when I was like at 8th grade, I started like, okay, I could probably be pretty good at this. And so I went
Is that when you
all
like
in on that.
mentally did you do a switch in your head like, okay, I'm not gonna do baseball, or were you still
Yeah.
doing baseball and golf?
I mean, I still did baseball. I didn't play
Like a league?
baseball. No, yeah, I mean, I didn't play in high school. Our team in high school was just ridiculously good, and they
Really?
still are. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a bunch of guys. I mean, out of one of the high schools there that, I mean, they're probably one of the top high schools in Georgia now, and it's a not that big of a school, but
Bro,
they all
like
throw
my high school
gas.
the same way. Like I was in Mesa when I grew up, but I mean like Chesapeake went to my high school. Like,
Oh, Chez,
yeah, crazy.
he's a
Like
beauty. We're the
and
same.
like
We're
in
the
my
same. He and I played
neighborhood.
college golf against each other.
Really? Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember like I worked when I first got out of college, I worked America West Airlines, and his dad was a pilot, right? His dad was a senior check airman, like way, way up there, the thing.
Yeah.
And I like hated my job. I hated it with passion. And I was like right out of college, and I used to go into his office every day. He was a completely different department, but I knew him because of my neighborhood. And I like went and would talk to him every single day, like true story. And he'd be like telling me all about Ched and like because like he was like that's when
Right.
he made it to the Masters. I think he made the
Oh, yeah.
Masters as a freshman at ASU. I think he
Yeah,
made it because he won the
he was young.
amateur or something. Yeah, and it was like what? Like I was so crazy back then. But he's a good dude, man. That's a good family. They're really cool.
Yeah.
As a Taylor and I were talking about earlier in the show, like tell them the story about Jim Furyk. Like this is a crazy story
Yeah.
about normal people.
Yeah, we're just talking about just regular guys, right? So I was a freshman at Georgia, and it was my first first event ever. I got in, I qualified, and we were playing an event at Sawgrass Country Club, and went down a day early and played TPC, and we got done playing, and we were just kind of practicing around and stuff, just kind of messing around. And we ran into Jim Furyk on the range, or from the range on the way to the parking lot. I can't remember exactly, but we started talking to him, and by the time we left, all of us got in the vans, and we were going to the hotel, and all of us like, God, he's such a cool guy, like just a regular dude, just he's a regular guy. And our coaches were like, yeah, they're all just regular guys. They're just like you. They just happen to be really good at golf. Like they're really good, but they're just regular guys. Like Jim was, he was probably on his way home to go have dinner with the family and, put his kids to bed.
It's just so crazy about golf. That's what I love about doing this podcast is like people can really see these are just normal people. They're like cool, and like, I don't know, like have a better understanding of like you get past the veil, right? And you just see that they're just normal dudes doing their thing. And so, all right, so you grew up in Georgia and you got really good. You started getting lessons. Like, did your dad like help? Did he see that you had a passion for the game, or you're just like, I want to go do this?
I mean, yeah, he's probably saw that I had a passion. He's a really good player. He was super hands off, like super hands off.
He would mess you up or what?
He just didn't want to. He was like, I'm not gonna be that parent. He was like, I always just want to be dad. Like, I just want to be dad.
I'm gonna play with you and hang out.
Yeah, I mean, like he was like, I want to more like, hey, if you want to talk about your round, we can talk about your round, but I'm not gonna be the guy that's like, all right, I can't believe on 13 you did this, blah blah blah. He's like, no. He was like, just don't act like an asshole. He's like, that's all I ask. Just don't make me look bad. I'm like, you got it, yes sir. But yeah, I mean, like when I wanted to start taking lessons, I did from a guy in Atlanta who was really good, George Kellenhofer. I learned a lot. He was way ahead of his time with video and all these kind of things. Like he used to work with Duvall when he was in college and Charlie Howell, bunch of guys there at his. I mean, it was a terrible drive. It was a 10 cup driving range, but he had all this video. It was crazy. I've still got the VHS tape. We did that, and then when I was in college, I actually worked with a guy who played for a while, and he's now a country music guy. His name's Colt Ford. But I worked with him, and he's a squares guy too. But Colt I started working with him. I worked with him all through college, and then he went back into music and started making music. So I tell him all the time it's his fault I didn't make it professionally because I was playing my best golf when I was working with him. And then he decided to go live his dream, and I got to play bad golf and donate money on the mini tours. but it's funny. Now it's come full circle. I'm his swing coach. So it's pretty
really
cool.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Does he live in Georgia or do you do it online?
So he comes back. His parents still live in Athens, but he lives out in Oklahoma. Splits time between Tulsa and Nashville.
That's cool. So, like, it's kind of that plays too right now, right? Because my son, who's like 10, is really good at baseball, but he's getting burned out. Like, they're doing travel and all that crap like that. And like, I don't want to burn him out, right?
It's hard.
Do whatever you want, man. Like, I'm not going to push you. And so then he got lessons when he's little, like nothing crazy, and he always liked to play. And then like in the last, like seriously, in the last 4 or 5 months, like all he wants to do is play golf. And I don't push it. Nice. He's just like, I want to go play golf. We go play his little crappy 9-hole. And he is like totally in love with the game, like completely in love with the game. All he wants to do. Awesome. And my dad gave him some old ass hybrid, and like next thing I know, he's like in the backyard just swinging this hybrid by himself. And I was like, what's going on? Right.
All right.
And so like I was like, this is cool. So then I actually talked to one of my instructor friends, and I was like, he's really good at juniors. And I was like, hey, would you be willing to work with them? Like, I'm not gonna say nothing. And he's like, yeah. He's got a lot of kids that go all the way. And I was like, he's like, yeah, I'll do that. I'm like, do you want to do like together? Like we have lessons together, like me and him and you. And he's like, no, I want to just be me and him, and I want to focus on his game. And like, he's like, but honestly, man, he's like, he'll make more gains out playing golf with you than he will with me. He'll just learn how to do it the right way. And I'm like, perfect. Yeah. I had a dad that would like scream at me from across the fairway, like keep my head down, right? And whatever. So I'm not gonna do it with my kid. But it's interesting because at that age, it's like, I don't know, like it's cool to see passion. I don't know,
right,
like in the game, like
100%.
You just say I feel like you see passion as you get older, as a kid or as an adult. Like, oh, I really love this game, but now I don't know. I'm excited. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like
that's cool.
You have a better chance of going this way than you do going baseball, dude. Like baseball's like the hardest sports to get in. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's cool.
I'm gonna be
But
Earl
so
Woods
then
on baseball.
what's that?
I said I'm gonna be Earl Woods on baseball with my little boy.
Are you going to? You like?
No, I'm not gonna really be
How
that
old's
way,
your
but
son?
he's 5.
Oh, we got time, bro.
No,
You gonna do
he loves
t-ball?
it.
Have you done t-ball yet or
Oh
no?
yeah, I coached his t-ball team this past year.
Did you guys go all the way? Did you get the
Oh
ribbon?
no, well we won every game, but it's because there are no outs and we had more people on our team, so we scored more runs. So we were undefeated. It
Dude,
was
I did that too. I
beautiful.
did the same freaking thing. It's like
Yeah.
every kid gets the bat,
Yep.
and regardless, I got yelled at during t-ball because, like, it was t-ball and you're still playing a tee, and I'm like, these kids are not gonna be playing t-ball next year. They need to learn how to hit a ball. So like
Yeah.
the first game or two, like we did t-ball, and after that, I was like, no, I'm pitching to you. Like I'm gonna be on my one knee, I'm gonna like
Yep.
lob it and whatever. And the other coaches started getting all pissed off and like told the league, oh, and I was like, dude, you're not helping them. And then by the end of the league,
Right.
by the end of the season, all the coaches were doing. I'm like, yeah, no,
That's
duh.
what
Like,
that's what
come
we do
on,
in ours.
dude.
They get 3 tries. You get 3 swings at
Exactly,
it.
exactly how I
And if
did
they
too.
miss,
Like you get
then you put it on the tee and rip it, right?
there we go. I mean, it is like any much longer than them hitting the
No,
freaking tee, you know.
no.
And it's like, who cares? Like, but it's cool because they actually see progression, right? Like 2 months
Yeah.
later, these kids hit balls, not like, oh, I have the tee.
And
I
then
mean, it's
and
like,
then when one of
next
those
year.
kids that first time one of those kids hits it when you pitch it to them, it's a freak out. They're so excited. They're like, "Oh my
Oh yeah, they're
gosh."
like, so are you though? Because you're like hit in the face
Yeah,
because you're like
like what?
3 feet away. Like I
Yeah.
got hit so many times. I didn't care. I was
Oh,
happy.
yes.
What's crazy is like my son was on his team for a long time, and he went back to Little League this last season. And then on this team was one of the kids we did t-ball with, who was really good too. So it's like kind of cool to see, like, 5, 6 years later, it's like they're
Mhm.
still good. Like my son was really good. Like I'm not just saying that. Like he was just my son was like throwing balls in the air by himself and like hitting it when he was like 2. Like he
That's
was so
I
into
wish
baseball.
I wish you could see my backyard right now. My son
Is
has
it a
one of those
baseball
pitch
like
backs. He's got
area?
a pitch back out there, like a little net thing
Really?
with
At
skillets in it.
5? Holy crap!
Yeah, he sits out there all day. I was like, "Well, this
Oh,
way I
he's in
don't have
love
to
with
stand
it.
out there in the
Oh.
heat. Like he can throw it to himself. We're fine.
He loves
He'll be
it.
fine."
Like, see, like that's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. Like he wants it. Like that's the yeah. I don't know. That's one thing I finally learned with parenting is like don't force anything. Like if a kid
Yeah.
wants to do
Yeah.
something, let him do it. You know? No, you're not gonna be a professional basketball player like 5'2". Like it'll never happen,
Right.
dude. So like
Yeah.
if you want to go play, let's go play YMCA. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just
No, my
whatever.
bloodline's not gonna be a football player or a
No,
basketball
bro.
player. We're
I
short and
don't
small and slow. It's not gonna happen.
if you want pizzas, okay, that's my
Yeah.
bloodline, or like some
Hmm.
spaghetti, like we can help you out there. But other than
I
that,
can teach him the ways of bourbon when he gets older. Like I'm good at that.
I'm
I'm
really good at
good at that.
drinking.
Yeah.
But like
I'm
what
really good.
not to buy
Yeah.
alcohol.
Sitting at the pool, I'm really good at it. Like I'm very good.
So all right, so then how'd you get all right, so like did you start winning tournaments in high school or what happened? Like how'd you get like to go play Division 1 golf? Like that's a big
Yeah. I
hard
mean,
thing.
I'm sure I did. It's funny. I was telling somebody this the other day. I don't really enjoy winning that much. So I don't remember much of those. I hate
Really?
losing with a passion. Like I hate losing. I hate it so much. Um, I remember more of those than I do the wins. It's maybe that's why I'm not playing golf professionally. But it always that was what always pushed me, right? Like I always want to be like, don't make the same stupid mistakes and things like that. But I was good. I I wasn't a world beater by any stretch. I was good. I had offers to play different places, but when I got offered by Georgia, I was a walk on. I walk on at Georgia. I had scholarship opportunities, but in golf, a big scholarship's a half scholarship. Um, but in Georgia, we have the Hope Scholarship, which the lottery covers everything except for room and board. And I was a pretty smart kid. I'd made real good grades, so I had academic scholarship too. So I was like, well, at Georgia, I'm on a full ride, and I can be on one of the best teams in the country. I was like, let's go. And it was in my backyard,
Exactly.
right? I mean, I've been around it for forever, so I was like, I mean, I'm in with that. And then I left midway through my junior year.
Why? What made you
We
go
were just
to
we were
NC?
really good. I mean, we were really good. All 5 guys my junior year. That was the year they won NCAA's at Caves Valley in 2005. All 5 guys were all Americans, and we were only graduating one. And Brian Harmon, Adam Mitchell, and I think Hudson Swafford were coming in the next year. And so I was like, I was kind of the 6th guy, anyways. And we had one qualifier that year, and we didn't have another one because they were that good. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get any better just sitting at home. I was like, I hate sitting at home while they're at an event, doing these things. I was like, I got to go somewhere where I can play. And NC State had recruited me in high school, and I had always had a good relationship with their head coach. And then their assistant at the time played golf at Georgia, graduated the year before I started. And so I'd known him. I had a relationship with those guys. So I transferred up there midway through the year and spent my last year and a half at NC State.
That's interesting. I don't think people realize that too. The college golf, like, there's only so many players that can play in a tournament,
I
right?
mean,
Per school.
you've only got 5 guys that travel. You've usually got somewhere between 8 and 12 on the team, and you've only got 4.5 scholarships. So you got to figure it out. Got to do the
Wow.
math.
So I didn't realize any
Yeah.
of that. That's crazy.
Like baseball is
So I
probably
mean,
the worst with scholarships. It's hard. Baseball's hard.
really, it's like if you're not in that top 5, it's like you don't get to play. Yeah, you get to practice, but like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, that's not. How's that?
I mean, you find other tournaments to play in individual type events, but that wasn't why I went to play golf in college. I wasn't going to
Yeah,
play
because you don't need
individual
like
events.
you weren't looking to be like, oh, I was part of that team. Look how
No.
cool I was. It's like, no, I want to be playing. Like, that's why
Mhm.
I'm here. Not I want to. It's not a team sport. Golf's not a team sport. Sorry,
Nope.
it's not.
Nope. It's
Like
individuals that add up to a team score.
a team. Yeah, exactly. So it's like a little
It's an
bit different.
individual
So it's not
sport.
like, oh, we win. It's like, well, kinda, but
I
really,
mean,
it's like, that's
the
interesting.
teams that win are the teams that, everybody, all
Have
5
the 5
guys
best
are trying to
players.
win that tournament. They're trying to beat the hell out of each other. Because if
Yeah,
you are
like they
all
beat
trying
each
for that
other. If
win,
they win,
if you're
yeah,
all trying for
exactly.
that
It's
win,
not.
you're going to be pretty damn good.
It's only one
Like
winner in
Oklahoma
golf.
State's been. I mean, Oklahoma State a couple years ago when like Hovland and those guys were on the team, they could have fielded 2 teams that would have made match play. They were that good. They were crazy. Their 9 guy would have played 1 or 2 at any other school, almost.
So what do you do? What do you think you do if you're like a teenager and you want to play like college golf, like, and you're good, but like, do you think it's a kind of a risk then? I guess if you go to like one of those like powerhouse schools, like you
Mm-hmm.
might not get to play. Like, yeah, you're
Yeah,
part of that system, but you might not get the opportunity,
it's a risk
right?
for sure. I wouldn't have changed anything. I still would do it. I mean,
No.
those guys are still my boys. I learned a ton. I mean, heck, the guys on my team, like Kiz was on the team. We came in the same year.
Crazy.
Then you got Chris Kurt and Brendan Todd the year behind us. The next year was who's in the
It's
next year?
amazing.
I mean, then you've got Harmon, Hudson Swafford, and then the next year was Harris English.
Like
And it was just
if you think about it, it's like top echelon of like college players, right? Like it's so
yeah,
like tour players. This isn't a joke. It's not like
no,
you play football in college and it's like you have like a 1% chance of making the NFL, right? It's
right.
like, it's like if you're winning tournaments or you're winning NCAA tournament, that's like you're pretty much gonna. I
You have a
mean,
chance.
what happens? So let me ask this because I'm not trying to sound dumb. I don't know how this process works. So like, okay, let's say you play college golf, which you did obviously, and then what happens? Like, so you went to NC State and you played at NC State. You finished out your career there in college, and then what do you do when you get out of college? If you're a professional golfer who's really good, what do you do next? I know you try to go to the tour, obviously, but how does that process work?
Well, I was a professional golfer, but apparently I wasn't really good. I donated a lot, but like it's literally like now it's different with the PGA Tour U and all that stuff where you're getting guys that right when they graduate they've got Corn Ferry status, or now that you're going to have a guy that has PGA Tour status or PGA Tour Canada, PGA Tour Latin America. There wasn't any of that when we were in college. It was like you graduated in May. I mean, unless you were the like top guys, like I mean, big time, like a Ryan Moore or DJ Trahan, those type guys. When they came out, they were getting sponsors exemptions to big tour events because they had won everything under the sun. Um, but unless you were those guys, you're probably playing a mini tour. Like when I was playing, it was the e-golf tour over here in the southeast, and then you got it was the Adams tour and the Gateway tour. Like you had all these tours where you're basically
It's all these tours,
just trying to
but you have to pay to play in it, right? Like you
100%.
have
I mean,
to
it's
like
$1,200,
not free per
$1,200,
tournament,
$1,500 per tournament, plus your hotel and
room and
I mean,
board plus flying there or driving
you're in
there
the
and
whole
whatever.
1,500 to $2,000 a week. And on a mini tour, you got to finish top 10 to break even, top 15 to break even.
Holy crap!
I mean, the mini tours are
It's
more about
hard.
like, oh yeah, yeah.
Super hard.
I mean, it's more about getting you ready for Q school. That's what they are. It's not a way to make money. Back then, you could make more money than you could now in the mini tours. There are guys that made a lot because we had 200 guys ponying up 12 to 1,500 bucks of an event, and it only cut to 60. So you had 140 guys going home. I mean, like a couple events. I mean, I want to say 4 or 5 events a year. They had 50,000 in first place. I mean, you get one of those, you pay for
You
your
pay for
year.
your whole year.
You're good to
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
Then everything else is profit. Then you're good to go. and it's not quite like that now. There's not quite as much money in it now because there's a PGA Tour Latin America, PGA Tour Canada. I mean, there's a Canadian Tour always, but they weren't through the PGA. And so that changed things with mini tour stuff. But these big time kids now, they're going to have Corn Ferry, PGA Tour status, Latin America, whatever it might be. They're going to have some type of status. Now everybody else, I mean, you got to scratch and claw, try and find somebody to give you money to go give it a shot.
Sponsor, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're working, which is impossible. You're trying to. It seems like it's such a hard road, right? Because almost like you have to win in the first 6 months, or you're hosed, or have a sponsor.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I mean, like I saved up for a whole year. I was a bartender in Athens, which was a really fun job. But I saved up for a whole year, lived with my parents, didn't play in anything. I just practiced, saved up for a year, and I was like, look, this is my money that I got. This is what I got. We're going to see how long it lasts. And I mean, because it was right after 2008 with all the housing
crash,
bubble burst.
Yeah, exactly.
And like when I graduated college, I had a degree in financial planning and consumer economics.
Oh, Jesus.
And that was so this is Lehman
Brothers,
like
no
Bernie
jobs,
Madoff, and the real estate market went.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I might as well try and play golf. I might as well try and play. So I saved up and I tried it and it didn't work out, which is fine.
So how long? So you saved up and you tried. So how long did you do mini tour stuff? Like a year or two?
About a year and a half. Almost 2 years.
Out? Was it just
no? I ran out of money. I always wanted to do it with my money, and it was more that it wasn't just that I ran out of money. That's the easy answer, but it was more that I had a stretch. My last time playing golf full time professionally. I've played in events here and there since then.
Yeah.
But when it was my only job, I had 4 or 5 straight events where I think my worst score was 70 or 71, and I only made 2 cuts.
Oh my God.
And I felt like I was playing, like, for me, like, I mean, I felt like I'm playing really good golf. Like, I felt really good about my golf, and I'm 10 shots behind the guys leading every week, and I'm missing the cut. And I was like, you know what? Maybe you're not good enough. I mean, like, it's okay. And it sucked. I mean, I still remember the last tournament I played full time. I missed a putt on the last hole, and I was like 7 under through 2 rounds and missed the cut. And I remember going to the car and I broke my putter in the trunk of my car. I just slammed it in the trunk of my car, like just put it in the thing, just I was like, I'm out. And but right after that, I ended up going to caddy for one of my guys, who's one of my travel buddies that we travel together, room together every week. I caddied for him, and he ended up making it all the way to final stage of Q school. And so then he had a job the next year, so I caddied on the Corn Ferry the next year, and but you can't make money doing that either. But that kind of led me down I really like golf. I mean, like I wanted to do something in golf.
You love it. Yeah. You're trying to figure out like, where do you fit?
Yeah. I mean, like I had to do something. And then I was a head pro up in the North Georgia mountains for a summer, and shout out to all the golf professionals that sit in a pro shop all day, because this guy can't do that. I did it for a while, and I was like, I will get out of this business. I will find a way to sell insurance, do something. I cannot do this. Be in the shop 75, 80 hours a week. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, and then that's the thing too. I have a buddy who's a golf pro, and he's like, "It sucks, dude." He's like, I mean, you're the GM. What do we call him? Some dumbass title. It's not GM, but whatever he is. But like, essentially, he's working 80 hours a week, for minimum wage, and then he makes his money on teaching his students when he can fit them in, when like doing inventory and getting there first thing in the morning, and all this crap. And I'm like,
all this stuff. I'm like, no.
And he has to drive like cross town every day to the golf course. I'm like, what a terrible, terrible, terrible. Like what's the upside, right? Like, someday I'm gonna go to the next. Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard, dude. Like, I don't think people realize that. That's super hard. That's a hard job.
I mean, it's hard to find people to work now in the assistant pro gig. It's just hard because there's no money. Like,
you may make more money being a bag boy or
for sure.
For sure.
You can make more money being a caddy at a golf course. They have a caddy program. You'd make more than the first assistant would, no doubt. And I mean, that's kind of what led me to what I do now. I was looking like, what am I going to do?
What year was this when you were like doing
2011?
So you were just like, okay, this is like, I don't want to do this forever, right? I don't want to do caddying. This is unless you get lucky.
No,
right?
if he had made it a big tour, I'd probably be caddying still.
Yeah, exactly. Then you'd be like, oh, making good money. It's worth the risk, right? It's like, it's all it is. You get your percentage.
And I was 25 and single. Or, well, I mean, I had a girlfriend, but we didn't have any kids. like now my wife, I wasn't single, but we didn't have kids. I was
It's like a
25, didn't have any
crossroad in your
responsibility.
life, 25, 26, like, what am I doing here? Right? Am I
Yeah,
gonna grow up or am I gonna like no, I totally get that.
yeah.
So then how like what did you realize like, hey, maybe I can teach? Like, and how'd you get hooked up with Jim and everybody? Are
So I grew up playing golf with both of Jim's sons, John and Matt.
you
We're
serious?
yeah, we're all about the
That's
same age because I
crazy.
mean, in all these
I didn't
national
know
tournaments,
that.
you end up seeing all the same guys. And John played at Oklahoma State and TCU, and Matt played at Wake Forest. Like I
I'm
knew who
talking
they
about Jim
were, right?
McLean, everybody, in case you don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Jim McLean. And I remember, like I always played in the Doral Publics, and this is when Jim had a school at Doral, and his school is right by number 10 of the Blue Monster. 10, 11, and then 12T comes right behind the school. So he'd always kind of like pop out and watch. I remember I was playing with John one year with actually John and David Ledbetter's son at the same time. It's crazy. um,
Crazy.
but like you see just Mr. McLean and Mr. Ledbetter walking down the fairway, and you're like, these are like the guys I see on Golf Digest
Legends.
every week.
Yeah,
And
legends.
I just remember that, right? So I knew he had golf schools, and I know how respected he is in the golf industry, especially as far as teaching teachers. If you look at a top 100 list or the best young teachers list, like if we were to sit down and go through it, more than half are Jim McLean people at some point in their life.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Like it's nuts how big his. I mean, he makes Nick Saban's coaching tree look tiny. It's just, I mean, it's crazy, and he's really good at it. And I remember looking at it. I saw a post on like PGA.com or something that he was looking to hire instructors, and I was like, well, I'll reach out, and ended up. I didn't love the thought of going to Miami. It's just not my speed. It's not my jam.
I can't see
Um,
why.
yeah, it's not my jam. Uh, but then they had an opening in Fort Worth, Texas, and I was like, that's more my speed.
That's cool.
And then they had a junior academy tied to it, a very boutique version of like an IMG school. We had 15 to 20 kids every year. And I was like, that I could really get in. That was my favorite thing of all the stuff I did out there is working with our kids that were there boarding with us. The last couple of years I was there, I was in charge of all the on-course instruction and
That's
things
so
like that.
cool.
It was like, so the
You
last six
loved it.
months I
You
was
fell in
there,
love. You're
oh,
like, oh, I love
it was
this.
it was amazing. And I got to go with them to tournaments, and I ended up going to all these US girls juniors, the US junior, the US AM. Because of that, I got to caddy in the US Open with one of the guys. Like, I mean, it's really, really cool.
You use
But
bonds these kids too, because
oh,
like they just yeah,
and
like
now
in
they're
those formidable years too, where you're just like they listen to you and they look up to you and it's like
and now I'm
yeah,
old
that's cool.
because
That's
they're all
cool.
getting married and they're having kids and stuff. I'm like,
And they're
oh my
probably like, oh, come
god.
my wedding, and you're like,
I'm
wait,
like, oh,
what?
they're like sending me baby shower things. I'm like, oh my god, that's not right.
That's so cool.
It can't be that long ago. But like that was once I got there, and the guys that I have out there. I mean, like two of them to this day are still my biggest mentors in golf. Joey Wertenberger, Justin Pointer. Those two guys, like, I mean, they crush it out there. Justin works with a ton of like, ton of girls in the LPGA, Symetra,
Wow.
bunch of junior golfers. He's helped groom a ton. Joey's the same thing. I mean, he's got some really really great players, and being around them, seeing how much they love teaching and how good they were at it. If I didn't learn something, I was an idiot. Like I had all the opportunities, and it
It's
it
like
got me to
you
where I am
were
now.
you were at the right place too, like to
Oh,
just absorb
and
all that
we were all
knowledge
fairly
and
young. I mean, fairly young. Justin's the oldest. I don't want to say how old he is. I can't remember. I don't want you to feel old, Justin. But when I got out there, I mean, he was like 42, 43, and he was the old guy.
like your age.
Yeah, right. I mean, he was the old guy, and I was 26, 27.
Oh, I know. Do you
But
hate that feeling?
right. And so we were all in there, and I still remember the first couple of years we were there. We had to wear pants in the middle of the summer there because he's like, "Look, y'all are all so
Oh
young.
my
I need you to
god.
look more professional." And then as we got, a little older, and our faces looked like we've been beat up in the sun, he's like, "Well, I guess y'all don't have to wear pants anymore." Um, but it was the coolest. We still will send there and
Was
send
it in
text back
Dallas?
and
Where
forth
was
like
this at? Dallas?
we were actually in Arlington, so we were right near
Oh,
Cowboy Stadium. Like we were right
that's
there. We were
cool.
halfway between. I lived in Dallas. A lot of them live in Fort Worth, but
That was
um,
a cool city.
it was awesome. It was. I had a blast. My wife and I, really the only reason we moved back this way was because we had our first kid, and we wanted to be closer to Camp Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, that's all
I
right.
wanted free help.
Exactly. Free daycare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, my parents live a mile from my house. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Like,
My
kids
mother-in-law
go over
lives like 2
there.
miles. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it makes sense, right? Because daycare is
Yeah.
expensive. Like
Yes.
$2,000 a month.
Very. Yes.
So that's so crazy. So then how long were you there teaching in Dallas?
I was there for 8 years.
So until
8 years.
2019?
Yeah. I was there till Memorial Day weekend 2019. I still remember because that's when we drove the U-Haul this way.
Back this
And
way.
the last 6 months I was there, starting in January, I was splitting time between here at Reynolds and there. And it was more that we knew Jim was selling the facility. So all of us were kind of, what are we going to do? How are we going to
Yeah,
go
peace
about
out. Yeah, we're
this?
not sticking around.
We
Yeah.
were trying to figure out what we were going to do. And I had an offer from a guy here. I worked for him in high school at one of the golf courses. And he's now our director of the kingdom at Reynolds. And he called me and he was like, "Hey, look, I know you're probably still looking at moving back to Georgia." He's like, "Here's your
That's
interview.
cool.
You have the job if you want it. Just let me know." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Let me
That's the one
see
thing I
what."
don't think people realize either. At least, I mean, I didn't because I'm an outsider, but like golf, the golf world is like teeny, teeny, tiny, like
Oh,
super
it's
tiny.
tiny.
Like everybody knows each other. Your reputation precedes you.
Hmm.
Be a good dude. Don't be a d-bag.
Right.
And you say what you're gonna do. You go do it, and whatever. And that's why I mean, for me, that's why we grew so fast because that's just how I am. And
Yeah.
then I didn't realize that like, oh hey, like I'll introduce you to this guy. I'll introduce you to that guy. Like, because you just want to like help people that are cool and
Yeah.
like are
It's a
nice
very
people.
small fraternity. It's very
If you
small.
piss somebody off, like
You're
everyone's gonna
done.
know. Yeah, you're
Oh,
done. Like, well,
immediately.
I could, yeah, for reals. Like, which
Immediately.
is cool. I like that. So, I mean, I think like, I don't know. I don't. Golf's so small, dude. It's
Oh,
ridiculous. It's so
that's
small.
why. I
It's a
mean,
small
it's
world.
fun. Like I went out to Colorado a few weeks ago for the U.S. Girls Junior out in Colorado Springs with one of my clients. She made it. We were super excited. Went out there with her family. Um, and, we were going through the practice rounds and end up running into all these college coaches. And she can't really talk to them yet because she's about to be a sophomore. But I'm sitting there talking to them. And, after the round, she's like, "How do you know all these people?" I was like, "Well, one, I worked at a junior academy, so we had relationships." I was like, "But most of these coaches were either coaching in college when I played, they were playing in college like at the same time I was, girls or guys, or they were playing with my sister. Like because my sister played through 4 years behind me in college at Central Florida and Georgia. I was like, it's not a big space. I was like, and then plus all these kids we sent to school when I was at Jim McLean, like we had a bunch of big Bama and TCU and like all these
Oh
places around the
crap!
country. That I'm like, look, the coaches like we just know each other because it is that small, and they all just move around to different schools. I was like, it is that small, and she's like, wow. She's like, I mean, it's just she's like, "You know somebody everywhere, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah, it's golf. It's small. It's very small."
It's super small. Like I just don't. I think it's so cool about it. So I mean, like the way that Taylor and I met each other was through Bob at Squares. So
Yep.
like, because Bob was on my podcast like a month ago, and he started naming all these like all these instructors that he that use
Hmm.
his product, and I was like, I want to talk to Taylor. I want to talk to Jim. Like these are all people I like follow on
Right.
Instagram, and I'm like, that's so awesome. But like, why do you like Square shoes? What makes
So
it
it all
different
came
for you?
about from Colt Ford. Um, when I left Texas, I was on staff with Titleist, and so we got FootJoy shoes, all that kind of stuff. When I
Yeah.
came here, I wasn't on my staff deal ran out, and so I was looking to go. Like, hey, who can I get shoes from? Because TaylorMade Adidas partnership wasn't a thing. Like so you didn't have that look. So I was sitting there. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, Colt happened to be in my bay one day. He's like, "Bro, let me reach out to Bob." He's like, "I got these shoes." He's like, "They ain't even. I mean, they had probably just come on, like just come out. I don't even know if they went to the PGA
Like
show
two
that year.
years ago, like 2.5 years ago,
It's
probably.
2019.
Oh crap! So they just came
Yeah,
out.
I mean, like they had just come out.
Yeah.
And so he reached out to Bob, like, "Hey, can you send Taylor a pair of these things?" And I got them. And the first generation of them, I was like, "These don't look great," but they are ridiculously comfortable. Like I could wear them, and I was like, I could teach in them all day. I could play golf, and my feet didn't hurt, and I felt stable. And really, like what brought me to them too is the laces that don't move, the little stay lock
It's
laces.
freaking
As
genius,
simple
dude.
as it is, as simple as it is, I was like, I like this. And then as it's evolved in the last
We
3 4 years,
patented that.
the shoe has become much
Better and
better
better and better and
looking.
better.
right? It's
Yeah.
better looking, but it's also like they didn't lose what the reason was. Like
It's
the square
It's a
toe box.
performance shoe. Yeah.
Square
It's a
toe box,
performance.
your feet can sit out like this. Your toes can spread out a little bit more. And that was, I mean, does it make you swing faster? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't tested it like that, like they have, right? But I just know that when I wear them, they're super comfortable and I feel super stable. And for me, it's just, hey, look, they're very comfortable.
Yeah.
I can play golf in them. My feet don't hurt. And, and plus just like Bob's such a good dude. I mean, he's so funny. I always tell him, I'm like, dude, you're like a living cartoon character. Like you really are. And and he's just a riot. And like anytime I call him and hey, look, can you help me out with this? He's always like, hey, let me know. I got you. Got you done. And so it was one of those things like, hey, people like that, like, and if he's asking me to do something, hey, yeah, man, I got you. I'll put
No
something
worries.
out for you,
Yeah.
whatever you need. And it's just, I think it's great. And I think I really do. Like people give me grief about them. They're like, I can't believe you're wearing those shoes. I'm like, well, all right, that's fine. Well, we'll just see what the scorecard looks like at the end of the day. With like my clients and stuff, they give me a hard time. I'm like, well, yeah, those Jordans do look cool, and I love Jordans. I wear them all the time. I just don't wear them to play
Yeah. You
golf.
playing basketball,
Like,
bro? I didn't know we were playing
yeah,
basketball
like
today.
I don't. I've got J's on right now, but I'm not going to play golf in them. That's not what they're for. They're not even really for playing basketball at this point. They're
Not a fashion
horrible
show.
basketball shoes. But like it's one where like I think they are really good. And like I said, Bob has been unbelievable to me, helping
Bob's a
me
great
out any
dude.
way he can. And so like that loyalty stuff like that, I'm like, dude, that's a guy I'll help out if he ever needs anything. And one day he'll probably be like, Taylor, you know what? You're not that cool. You're out, and that's fine.
I doubt
But
that.
I'll still wear squares. That's the crazy thing. I told somebody the other day. I was like, even if I didn't get them for free, I would wear them. I would buy them. Like I know that sounds. I know
No,
nobody will
no.
believe me, but I would wear them tomorrow, 100%.
They work. That's the thing. They
Yes.
work. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
I
it.
love them.
Like, I don't wear them to go to the mall, but I
No.
wear them to go play golf because
Right.
I want to hit the ball farther and I want to like have my feet not hurt and all
Yeah.
the other things. I mean, that's like, it helps me perform better on the course. That's what it comes
Exactly.
down to. I want to play better. Like that's it.
I want to
Like
drop bombs. I just
I
want to
want
hit farther.
I want it further and I don't want to spray it everywhere. Those are like the two things I
Sure.
want to do.
Sure.
Maybe go see Taylor.
Yeah.
So, um, so then you went to the kingdom, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
what's the kingdom? In case people don't know what the kingdom is.
So TaylorMade has two sites. Their original kingdom is out in Oceanside, Carlsbad, and it was the kingdom here was supposed to be just the East Coast version. So PGA Tour players that were out here on the East Side could just come to here and it'd be easier to get to than going flying into San Diego and doing all that. And so that's what it was for a long time until MetLife acquired Reynolds Lake Oconee. They bought it from the Reynolds family, and when that happened, uh, it was MetLife wanted to own the piece of property that TaylorMade owned for the kingdom here because it was, they want to own the property. Well, in that thing, they still kept the relationship with TaylorMade. So the kingdom here is the only place that a retail person, just anybody off the street, can go get a PGA Tour level, kingdom level experience with their fitting. So like it's the same kind of. I mean, we have everything. We've got two of the
Public
retired.
wise, because the kingdom,
Right.
kingdom in San
Kingdom,
Diego,
you're gonna have to be an influencer or a tour player.
influencer
I mean,
or tour player
that's
or
the only
a
way you're
who's
going out
who in
there.
golf.
Right.
See, I didn't know
Or
that. This is crazy. I didn't know that.
like you can't just call up TaylorMade and go, hey, I want to go to the kingdom. You can come to ours, but not
Factory
that one out
Asphalt.
there. Just like you can't go to Oceanside for Titleist, like random Joe Blow can't go over there. Same with the Ely Callaway thing out there in Carlsbad also. But it's one where like we have two retired PGA Tour trucks. The one that's out there right now is the last one before the double-decker bus they have now. But we have two tour trucks. One of them builds drivers fairway woods hybrids. The other one builds irons wedges. So
Complete fitting.
now, yeah, like in a fitting, somebody will come in and say they're in there for a full bag fitting. Like we're going driver through putter. Well, the driver will be the first thing we do, then fairway woods, then irons, and then putting and stuff like that. By the time they're done, they're starting to hit their fairway woods to get fit. That driver's already built and at the like with them. That driver's built. Same with the fairway woods. We go down now. Irons. Most times we order irons because we just don't have enough room for inventory. But if we do get, like, we still get some Corn Ferry guys and, you know, some Metro girls, LPGA girls, things like that, or like super high level college kids that TaylorMade's taking care of. For them, you know, we'll usually have something in stock that we can build. They'll have all their clubs that day. And I always tell people, like, the ones like a retail person, you'll have your clubs the next week. You'll have 5 to 6 business days coming from TaylorMade. But every club that has a head cover, you're going to leave with that day.
So it's like the real deal. It's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna ship it to you in 2 weeks.
Oh
You
no,
know,
I mean,
it's
like,
like,
you're leaving with those clubs, and you know the cool part about what we have, I mean, like, there is, like, it's going to be correct because our builders on there are tour
yeah.
builders. I mean, like, they are legit. Like, even when we get something coming in, if we get something shipped to us for a Reynolds member, we've got it on the truck, double checking everything, triple checking everything to make sure everything's correct before you send it to them.
So when you went to there, you moved there in 19, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
moved to back to Georgia to work there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what like, because like, how did you grow so quickly? Because I mean, I know like Taylor really started like doing the Taylor brand, right? As an instructor, that's one
Yeah.
of the things. And in some
Right.
ways, like a lot of people don't do that. They just kind of like, I'm an instructor and no one knows who I am. I was part of this big
Sure.
machine or something like that. So like, when did you start like doing your online instruction, your influencing on social media, your YouTube, all that? Like, when did you start going through
So
that process?
I tried a little bit when I was in Texas. So I ran the social media for our junior academy. So I had an idea of what I was doing. I mean, I still didn't really know. I was just kind of
Yeah.
learning as I went.
That's all you can do is learn,
Right.
fail, and
And
learn and
so
fail.
I was trying to do it. It was a way to make a little extra buck when I was out there. I mean, like, as a teacher, I was like, yeah, sure. I'll
I'll
try
do
it.
it. Maybe do it. Yeah.
But then, like, in 19, it really started to grow a lot, like COVID. I mean, like, didn't have a choice. I couldn't teach in person here, but I had a relationship with the guys from Skillest with Baden, and I'd actually met him at the PGA show in 20 before everything shut down. Um, we had talked, and you know, we had talked about getting that going, and he's like, "Look, I think it's the future," and I mean, dang sure is. I teach people all over the world now, which is really cool. Um, but you know, when it happened, I was like, well, I got nothing to do. I
I'm
can't
at
teach people
home.
in person.
Yeah.
I can't teach people in person. I was like, I might as well, you know, grow my social media and try and push people to my online platform that way. Like, I'm going to push my Instagram. I know kind of what's going on. And then, you know, I was working with a coach then, and I still bounce ideas off of him, Shaheen Nakjavani up in Montreal, and his brother Brandon. Um, and I did a mentorship thing with Shaheen. And part of that was I did some stuff with his brother Brandon, who runs all of his business side of it. And he was like, "Look, Taylor, we gotta get your Instagram, because my whole goal is to get to 10,000. Because at 10,000, then you could swipe up in a story, and you could have product placement things. Now everybody can do it. But I was like, I want to be to 10,000 so that I could put my Skillest thing on there, and people could swipe up and go straight to my Skillest. Or if I put a brand on there, I could put on there, they could use my code and go for it, right? And so that was what I told Brandon. I was like, that's my goal. He's like, all right, we got to do X, Y, Z. And sure enough, from, like we were talking before we got on here, from March to June or July, it went from like 4,000 followers to 20, almost 25,000 followers. I mean, like, boom, like, it was crazy. Crazy. And now, I mean, I just kind of maintain it now. I don't do as much with it because
Busy as
I'm really
hell.
busy.
Yeah.
I'm just really busy teaching. And I enjoy teaching more than I enjoy putting out content. It's just, at this point, I would
You also
rather
make money
teach.
by teaching and not putting out content. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
you gotta pay the
content, it
bills.
just takes so long. I mean, it just does. Like, during
That's the other thing
COVID, I
people
had,
don't realize, like, to make a good
oh,
reel or a good video or
oh,
a good
I mean, your hours.
whatever, it takes
I mean,
forever. It takes
during COVID,
days, dude.
I could go up somewhere and take 6 different shirts with me, and I could shoot, you know, if I took an entire day, like, where I'm just like, all right, look, I'm going to go here. I'm going to shoot an entire day's worth of videos. I could get, you know, a month of content in a day if I really needed to. But now, just like my days off that I'm not, because I'm teaching from either 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 8 to 6, every 5 days a week. The other 2 days, I want nothing to do with it. I want to hang out with my kids, go to the pool, you know, whatever. I don't really want to be trying to make content on my days off. Because like now, most of my content is just swings of the kids I teach or the people that I teach, different things like that. That the content's in front of me. Um, Now, will it
It's
shift?
funny.
It
It's
probably
so
will.
funny to like have this conversation because like I feel like, okay, 20 and 21 were good years for content creation and like whatever.
Hmm.
And I think like because people weren't able to go play golf, right? Or like
No.
professionals, right? Like yourself. And then it's like now it's like that balance. Like, what do I do? It's like, I maintain, but can I grow
Hmm.
it? I got to maintain, and I still like I'm a husband, I'm a father too. So it's like before you had like, well, I had no job because I wasn't able to teach.
Right.
So it's like,
I
okay, how
had
am I
3
gonna
months where I had no job.
yeah, I'm gonna drive people to my platform, right? So it's like the balancing act, and I don't know. I
Hmm.
just think it's very fascinating to like hear from that side too, because I didn't think about that like that. Like that's the hardest thing to get good content. There's a lot of bad
Sure.
content, but
There's a lot of bad content. But yeah, I mean, good content's hard, and it's hard not to like just be super repetitive. Um, and it's, like there's no new information in golf. It's not that much new information. Different ways to vocalize it. Like there's different words. I mean, like there's different ways to say it. There's nothing crazy different, and I think that's why George has blew up so much. Gankus, because it's different. It's different. He's got a different vibe, and
different
I love
style
G.
vibe,
Like, dude's
chill.
so
Yeah,
smart. Like, he's so smart, and like I respect the hell out of him. He's done unbelievable. I mean, he's huge. He's probably the biggest social media golf instructor there is. As far as how he's turned it into what it is without being a YouTube guy, because he doesn't put out YouTube content. It was just
dude, he did
Instagram.
crush. Dude, he would
I
crush,
mean,
dude. Dude,
and then he's got his membership stuff. Like he crushes it, dude. And
crush.
like, but he's different. He's a guy that, hey, look, he is super Cali. Like he is not going to try and be golf, buttoned up dude. He's going to be in his slides, bro. Yeah, like I mean, like he's just him. He's a
Well,
Westlake
golf's
guy.
changed too.
Like that's what he is.
But that's the thing too. I feel like it's like as new players come in, it's like you don't have to be stuffy and weird and like
No,
I don't know,
no.
wearing khaki pants and a polo in your video and like
I mean, I think that's part of the
PGA show.
reason.
It's like you go to PGA wearing khaki pants. You're like, oh yeah, those guys, all those dudes are in the PGA
Right.
program, right?
Wear their khaki
Like
pants and their blazers.
yeah, they're all
For a
blowing
novice,
it up. They're like,
like
hey, what's up, man? Yeah. I'm like,
I'm not a PGA
okay,
guy. Not for any reason, but I figured once I went
no.
through my stuff with Jim, there was no reason for me to do it. I was
You learned
accredited.
it.
I've
You
got,
learned the hard way, right?
yeah,
Or
I've got
you learn by doing.
everything I need. Unless I want to go be a
From a
director of instruction somewhere, and I don't want to be that. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to
We
direct
also learned
anybody.
from
I
like a
just want to teach. Correct.
top instructor forever. That's one of the most well respected instructors
Yeah.
ever of all
I mean,
time,
to go
right? Like,
teach somewhere, if somebody knows I worked for Jim for that long and he didn't fire me, it'd be probably pretty good.
yeah, they're like, oh, you're hired.
Yeah,
You don't need a resume. Like,
no, but it's so funny. Like you said, like when I walk through the PGA show, I've got on just like I'll have on a golf shirt or one of my t-shirts and jeans and boots or like whatever. Like I'm
yeah,
just looking like
exactly.
a normal dude, and everybody's like, I'm watching everybody in their jackets. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad. That's not me, man. I can't rock that.
Dude, I had somebody comment on one of my YouTube videos, and they're like, I don't know, it was like a product review or something, and they're like, oh, like swear to God, they said this is a really good review, but you're just a typical YouTuber with your T-shirt on. Like you should wear a polo shirt. That's literally what they said in the comment. I was like, okay,
Okay,
whatever. Like,
cool.
and I said, I wrote back was, thank you so much. And I wrote back, I'm like, I so much
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's like thank you, That's exactly. Cause I'm not gonna like wear a polo. Well,
That's
actually,
probably
I had
whoever
to
that
shoot
is probably
content
still wearing
once
like pleated khakis though. They're probably still wearing pleats in their pants.
that their mom bought them.
Yeah.
I went to shoot content once at a golf course, and my buddy was like, I was wearing a t-shirt and like shorts or whatever, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna shoot content on their back area, like not even with people, probably in a private course. He's like, yo, bro, you gotta like change your clothes. I'm like, are you serious? Like I thought he was joking around. He's like, no, this is private. I'm like, bullshit. It's like semi-private. I'm like, I'm like, come on, really? He's like, no,
Right.
like for real. Remember? I was like, okay. So then, like, they didn't have my size, right? So I had like double extra large pants and a double extra large sweatshirt or a polo shirt. I had to shoot content. My pants are falling down. It's the ugliest shirt I've ever like. It was the only shirt that was like it was either that small or double XL. All they had. I was so pissed, dude. I was so pissed. I should watch those. I should see those things, those videos. You can see them.
That would be funny.
I was like,
That would be beautiful.
what? I'm like, whatever, man. So, like, what are you doing now in terms of content? Are you just showing your students and like your instruction with your students, or what are you doing with that?
I don't even put that much instruction with my students. I do with some, but it's more like I use it as a way to highlight, you know, mostly just the kids that I teach. Like 55-year-old member doesn't care if I put him up on Instagram. He doesn't give a shit. But like my 15, 16-year-old kids, like when they make it onto the story or into the thing, they're like, hey, that's kind of
Big
cool.
deal.
Like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
hey, Taylor has a little bit of clout. He's got 24,000 followers. It's not that many, but it's more than most of them have. But, like, they're like, it's kind of cool to get on there. Or like, we'll play games. And like, I always tell them, like, my favorite thing to do is the instructor wins. Like, cause I hate losing. So I just like putting the instructor wins. Like, if I beat them, we're going to take a selfie and we're going to sit there and I'll be like, well, it happened again. Instructor wins. And so they're like, I don't want to end up on that. I'm like, yeah.
We
But
made
it,
it
you
fun
know, like,
and competitive, right?
yeah,
Without
I
making
mean,
it
like,
like hard and like,
yeah, like I love there's nothing replaces competition. Like, that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to get better. You get your butt whooped. You go, well, what the hell is that person doing better than me? I got to figure it out. Or you just roll over, and those are the ones that, hey, they might play, but they're not going to be great. And that's okay. It's fine. Doesn't bother me. They're just not going to be the ones that are going to be the elite, right? I mean, they separate. You can play high school golf. You can have fun with golf without being, like that's
yeah, totally like
95% of my
hardcore.
business is people who aren't elite. Like I've got a very small sample size that are elite. But the other ones are,
Yeah,
hey, I still want to get better, but I need to have fun while I'm doing it. And so the competition side, like, I mean, even if it's just talking smack, or we'll play like with some of my members. Hey, we'll play for, hey, who's going to buy the first round when we get done, right? Just in something silly, even if it's a chipping game, or we'll play for $1. Or hey, closest to the hole for $1 on a chip shot that they struggled with. After like we're on the golf course, I'll be like, all right, look, this is how you want to hit it, right? And we'll hit it. All right, we'll do close to the hole for $1, right? And the fun thing is like everybody thinks that I'll get like, oh, I don't want to lose these things, and I don't. But I don't mind putting up the one that the student won. If they beat me, I did my job. Like I've done my job. They're getting better. I'm okay with that. Now I'm gonna talk smack the whole way if I beat them. Like I'm like that's how I
you
am. Like
want
I'm
them to
just
beat
gonna.
you though. That's the thing. Like
Oh,
you want
I
them,
mean I do, but I
like
mean
you
like,
want them
and
to
I always tell
because
them I'm not gonna let you win. I don't. I'm not gonna. But if you beat me, great, dude. That means we're moving in the right direction. I love it.
yeah, it's like I think the biggest compliment to any kind of instructor is to have your student like win or whatever it might be. Like I remember I used to be a flight instructor a long time ago, and I had a student who was a military pilot or a helicopter pilot, and I was just be so hard on him, and he was like twice my age, right? And like he wanted to get his pilot's license, and I was like, he was a helicopter pilot, and I was so hard on him, and he's like, man, why are you so hard on me? And I'm like, because you need to know this, dude. And so
Right.
then like he took a check ride and he passed with flying colors. And he's like, oh, now I see why. He's
Now it's easy.
like now I see why you're so hard on me. I'm like, yeah, because if you can pass me, that's gonna be simple. Like that's
Right.
gonna be no big deal. And like that's C average. If you can pass the test, that's a C average. But I don't want you C average. I want you A plus,
Right.
right? Because like you're gonna have people in the airplane with you, and it's like
C average is
like
dangerous.
yeah, like you passed, but like
That's
that's C minus. Like you
dangerous.
didn't
Right.
and so I think
That's
it was golf the same way, right? It's like that's the biggest
yeah.
compliment. It's like you don't want to be a C average player. You want to be an A player? Let me make you an A player. But if
Right. And if you want to be a
you don't have
C
to be the
player, I
elite
don't
A
care.
plus, but
Yeah.
like
But
at
if they
least
want to be a
want
C
to.
player, I'm okay with that too. It depends on how I'm going
Cool.
to teach them. It depends on how we're going
Yeah.
to
How
do our
invested is
lessons.
that person in like their yeah
Right.
exactly.
How much are they going to practice? What are they going to do? Like it depends on what we're going to do in lessons. But, like I've got a girl right now that, I mean, if she stays with it and doesn't get hurt, things like that, she could be
A
pretty
plus.
special. I mean, she could be very special. She's got the
Is
drive.
that
Like
cool when
she's
you
the
see
one that,
somebody like that though? Like
oh,
you're just like, oh man, you have it. Like what the
yeah,
heck?
like she's got it. And as she
Like
grows and gets bigger and does all these, I mean, she's only 15, and who knows what the
that's the
hell's going to
coolest
happen,
thing in the
right?
world.
But she's one that she'll come into the lesson. She's like, all right, look, this is what I have to do better. I'm like, you got it. All right, yep, let's go. Let's see what we got to
Yeah,
do.
she's like hanging
And
out
she's
for an
got all,
hour because her dad brought her and she didn't
yeah.
want to
I
go.
mean, like, and she's
Yeah.
got all her stats. She keeps all of her stats. She's like, look, this is
Oh,
what is not right
that's so
now.
cool.
I mean, like, and I'm like, all right, cool. That makes my job easy. I mean, it does, and it makes it fun. Like most of the time, though, we're not grinding on something. We're just maintaining, making sure it's really good, and then we'll do some other stuff. But it's just a lot of fun. Like I love teaching. I could talk about it all day. I enjoy
So
it. Everybody
like
always asks me that.
when was the first year you got nominated for the Golf Digest?
Oh, I don't know. I've been nominated a few. This is the first time I ever made it. And it
Really?
was I think
Can you explain what that is in case people don't understand?
Yeah, so it's the best young teachers list. You have to be under 40 by the time, I guess, the one came out in January, right? You can't be 40 yet by then. And it used to be the top 40 under 40. Well, there's just so many more instructors now. Like, there's a lot of people doing what I do now, all over the country, because a lot of golf instructors have learned that you can make more money doing this than sitting in a pro shop. But it's, as we go through it, well, we're sitting there, and I got nominated for the first time, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. And I didn't make it. So it was like three issues ago, right? 3 times ago. Because it's a 2-year window. It's
Oh,
like
is that what
3
it is?
times
I didn't
ago.
know that.
Yeah,
That was
so
every
this
year.
is like for 23, 24. So
Oh,
this is the
wow.
last time I can be on that list because I'll be over
And
40
you
by the
made it,
time
though.
it comes
That's
out
a
again.
cool thing.
I made it. I think the people at Golf Digest were just like, you know what? Jeez, this poor guy has been on here too many times. He's going to be too fucking old next time. So we'll just put him on there. But,
No, they didn't.
yeah, I know. But it's one where you get nominated by certain people. And then that one is more of a Golf Digest. I don't think maybe you do vote on it. I can't remember. I think the people who have been on the list before vote. I know what the top 100, the top 50 is because I vote on that one. That's sent out to people who have either been on a Golf Digest list somewhere or been nominated for Golf Digest list. Like the top 50 will come out later this year. And it's looking a little different this year.
The top 50
it'll be
of the
pretty cool.
top 50 instructors, not under 40.
Top 50
right?
instructors, and then like they have the best in state and things like that. They'll have those. That'll all come out later this year because I know voting just finished yesterday. But like that one, I know how that works. You vote, and you got to get a certain amount for you to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
And this year they're changing up a little bit. It'll be really cool for a lot of people. You'll see a lot of new names on there, and it'll be really cool. I'm excited about it. But this was the first time I'd ever made it, and but in the past, I know how lists work. I know how they go. It's not the end all be all. It's not, but it's nice to be recognized. Like it's just one of those things that it's nice.
Validation to what you're doing with what you're doing.
I mean, like,
outside of
I already
a
knew
third-party validation.
I knew I was a good instructor. I mean, I do. I know I'm a good instructor. I've paid my mortgage by doing this for a while now. But you still want to like, hey, somebody recognized me. It's kind of cool. And so I didn't make it 2 years ago, and I was I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty mad about it. I really felt like I'd earned it, and obviously I didn't. It's okay. But this year I actually found out I was going to Mexico for my 39th birthday. My wife and I were leaving. I went there instead of the PGA show this year. It's always during the PGA show. I'll be there next year. It'll be my 40th. So whoever's down there, we're gonna have a big party for my 40th during the PGA show. So
You want to? I'll go. I'll be there.
yeah, come on, John. We'll get John in on it too.
We'll bring John. We'll bring
in on it.
Bob.
Yeah, it'll be a blast. But it's one where we were on the way to Mexico. My dad calls me. This is January 18th, a couple days before my birthday. My dad calls me and goes, "Hey, congratulations." I was like, "What?" I thought he was calling me because we were literally leaving the next morning at 4 a.m. to drive to Atlanta to go to the airport. I was like, "What's he saying congratulations to?" Like I made it another year. Like everybody I know bet the under, and I'm getting close. I mean, I think everybody's over at this point. So he's like, "Congratulations." I was like, "Thanks." What, Dad? He was like, "No, you made the best young teachers list." I was like, "What?" I was like, "I had no idea," because it hadn't come out to us yet. He's been Golf Digest for forever, and so they got the issue. They get on like the 15th of the month, so he'd already had the issue. I was like, "No way, dude!" And he was like, "Well, hold on here. I'll send you pictures." And he's 72, so the pictures were all jacked up on there. But I saw my name,
Motorola phone.
I was
the big numbers.
It's probably with his iPad and trying to figure it out.
With his Android.
But he sent them, and I was like, and I sent a message to a couple of guys that I knew had nominated me. I was like, "Hey, look, thanks for nominating me. I found out that I made it." And they're like, "How the hell do you know?" I was like, they're like, "We hadn't gotten the email or anything." I was like, "My dad just told me that I made it." And they're like, "How the hell does he know?" They're like, "Oh, it's not the digital version." I was like, "Oh yeah, here you go." I was like, "Well, y'all are obviously on there," but it was one night I made that. It made my trip down to Mexico a lot more fun knowing that I had made that. But the way I tell everybody, I'm like, it is cool for me. It is. But my whole thing is I wanted to bring like, okay, well, people see Reynolds Lake Oconee in there. People have seen Reynolds Lake Oconee in Golf Digest for forever anyways. But, like, hey, look, they have instruction there. They've got high-level instruction there. Hey, maybe we should go check it out.
People, yeah.
We've got 3 great instructors. We've got a guy who played on tour for 8 years that's in there. And once he gets healthy, he'll probably go back and play Champions Tour. I hope he does. Anyways, I told him I don't want him to teach much longer. I want him to go back to playing because he's just too good. But we've got a good group. We've got another good group now. We got everything to teach.
How many instructors are there?
We have 3 at the Kingdom.
That's it?
Yeah, we only have 2 bays. Yeah, we have 3.
The bays are pretty cool. I saw pictures. I was like, holy crap, that's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. And we've got a badass short game facility.
I bet it's like AC, I bet like air conditioned and like all that.
It is. Oh,
yeah.
But once you open that bay in Georgia in July, it's still 95 in the bay. It's still hot.
It's still hot. It's just blowing air. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
we can't even do anything out here, dude. It's so freaking hot. It's not even fun. I was supposed to go yesterday morning to Martin's place.
But y'all had the entire month of July was over 110. Did I see that?
It's
every single day was over 110.
Yeah, and it's like 6 a.m. It's like 95. You know what I mean? So it's not even like nice out. When you go play early in the morning, it's like already hot. You're like, I usually play like a 9-hole with my dad every Friday, and he's like, at last 3 weeks, he's like, you want to go play? And I'm like, no,
not really,
because you're tired. It's like, why should you not play 9? Yeah, it's like I'd rather just like do something else. So no,
I love playing golf with my dad.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, let's go get breakfast. Like just hang out for an hour.
Or somebody goes, hey, you want to play golf this weekend? I'm like, sure, what time's off? 10:30. And I start laughing. Nope. I'm like, you can't get any other tee time? 10:30, right? So like what? We're at noon, 1 o'clock. We're on the turn. You're stupid. Get out of here.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. You're like, no, I don't want to play in 115 degrees.
Bro, I almost died. Like one time I played.
It's a dry heat, though.
Shit, yeah. Dude, like one time I was
dry too.
Was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I was playing golf at the what's the colors called? The Boulders, which is really fancy and nice and cool. Just big boulder rocks. It's up in Cape Creek. And like I was playing these guys from Devereaux. What's that?
Isn't that spring training up near like Carefree and stuff too?
Well, yeah, there's kind of like Carefree's like way north Phoenix. Like it's super like, and like it was 100 and I think we teed off at 1 o'clock. It was the stupidest thing ever, bro. And like it was. I think by the time we were at 16, I quit playing. Like I was drinking water, but I was like, I just sat in the cart and watched these other 3 dudes play because we were all part of a bigger group. And I was like, I'm done. I had the worst headache like ever. And I drove an hour back home and I was like, I drank all this water, but like all the salt and stuff. Like, dude, I was not okay, dude.
Get home, you're like, oh,
I was so sick. That's when to bed. I was so sick.
Yeah.
Just the heat kills you. But so then you also do a lot of online training too, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't do as much now. I did for a while. I don't do a ton. I still do some.
You have so many hours in a day, right? I mean, you're teaching.
Right. I mean, it's not my focus to try and do that, but I still teach some online. A lot of it still like now is a lot of my kids that I've taught here that are now in college. And so instead of them having to come back all the time, like I already know how I'm going to manage what they do. Like Skillest.
How do you teach online?
Like, I mean, people send in their videos and I can do all the analysis stuff. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty badass. No, I don't have like my TrackMan and stuff like that, but I've watched enough golf.
You can see what happens with the shot and why the way.
I mean, I know what's happening.
Enough shots, yeah.
And a lot of it is look, I have make sure that they tell me, look, this is what the ball's doing on this shot. This is what happened on that shot. So I can go, okay, these are the matchups that create those things. Hey, what's the miss? Well, I've been hitting this weak right ball. Okay, and this is the one that was the weak right ball. Okay, so let's see what's happening there so we can match it up and go, that's why this is happening for you.
I like your Minnesota Twins shirt.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, big Twins fan. As a Braves fan growing up, big Twins fan.
I'm just kidding. We were joking around the whole time.
Where he's giving me shit about my logo on my shirt. But this is very Phil Mickelson of me to come on here and just be like, yeah, what's up, bro?
That's Taylor's logo. We were just joking.
This is my logo.
Show, we were just joking around.
Shout out to Jared, Brock Company. They designed my logo for me. And Swing Juice, by the way, man. Golf and Tacos. What's up?
Dude, I like your logo. Your logo's sick. You should do a puff hat like that. That would look sick.
It's
black hat with puff. That would be sick.
We're gonna get one of those.
I'd buy that.
It's gonna be badass.
That's sick.
No, I just send you one. I'm not gonna sell them to anybody. I'm just gonna send them away. I don't want to deal with the taxes. I'm just gonna buy them and give them to people. I'm just gonna buy them and give them to people, man.
So like, his shirt. So like that's from Swing Juice, right? I forgot that they're doing polos now.
Dude, they're awesome.
Swing Juice makes the best t-shirts, bro. I love Swing Juice.
They're awesome.
Like, seriously, John Mason is the man.
One of my favorite humans on this planet. Love John and love being able to wear their stuff. It's really cool.
John is like the OG. Like he was literally the first one to do t-shirts in golf. Like no one else was doing t-shirts, and he was doing that stuff like back in 2012.
and
11, like the golf and
and he
hip
had a
hop and
he actually had a swing juice too. There was
that's right.
actually
That's what he told
a
me on the show.
drink
Like that was his.
related
That's how
to
he
it. Yeah,
started. Yeah, the drink. It was
yeah,
like that's how he started the name. And I was like, he
hmm
said he didn't quit doing it, but
yeah.
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Dude,
I
I
mean,
know all the same people. It's so weird.
yeah,
See,
this stuff.
it's because
I've
it's a
been
small
such a
world,
fan of this stuff.
right?
It is like we
Yeah,
are talking about. It's a
yeah. If
tiny
he wants,
fraternity.
yeah, it's because good people want to be around good people. That's it,
Right.
right? And
Like we
so
said,
it's like, oh yeah,
I don't have time to associate with people I don't want to hang out with. I got
I don't want to do that. I'm
I got a
45
wife
years
and
old.
kids. If I wanted to hang out with people I didn't want to hang out with, that would just be stupid. I'd be wasting time with them. Um,
Well, I mean, where can people find you, Taylor?
so mostly you can find me on Instagram. It's at TC_instruction. Find me on some TikTok stuff. I don't do much. It's more for me to just be mindless and watch stupid TikToks. I've got some things on there. I really just do most of my stuff on Instagram. I don't do anything on YouTube. That's not really my scene.
You
I don't
need to,
really.
dude.
I'm not into the creation stuff. It's just not my
Yeah,
thing.
bro. All you need to do is like film a video of instruction of whatever,
But
and then cut
it's
it up and turn it
also,
into a reel.
what's crazy is like now though, I'd have to have two different things filming because Instagram's
No, you
vertical
don't.
and
No, you don't.
YouTube's
No, you
more
don't.
landscape.
I swear to God, dude, you don't. You just have to like have your editor like put it in landscape mode.
My
Honestly, you can
me?
do that.
You mean me?
I can talk to you about that for sure.
You mean me? My editor? Yeah, me. I got it. I'll get on him real quick. I'll be like, hey, look, dude, you
Yeah,
need
I
to
mean,
fucking
you learn
job.
how to, yeah, learn how to, yeah, forget
You
that.
better
I
learn
just
how to
hire
do this.
somebody. I have no idea how. I have somebody that does it for me because could not figure that out. I can't even figure out Photoshop, dude. I'm not touching that.
Oh, see,
Like,
like I learned that by myself when I was doing the social
did
media.
you
I know how to
really?
do Photoshop, and my wife does that too. She's an interior designer, so like she knows how to do all
Oh,
the stuff.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
she knows
wish
how
I
to do
knew
all the
that
stuff.
stuff. Or AI files. I wish I knew all that crap. It'd make my life so much
Oh, I've been
easier.
messing
But
around with that. That stuff's kind of cool, man. It's creepy though, but it's kind of cool.
it's super cool, actually. Like, what's
It's
it called?
really cool.
The Illustrator. Like, you can make some
Yeah,
cool ass stuff. It's very
dude,
basic. Like, it's like not
and
basic,
it's
but
not that hard to
yeah.
use. It's really not. Even
And
my
just
dumb ass
when you
can
have
do it.
time to learn it, right? That's the whole problem.
Right.
You're a dad, you're a husband, you teach probably 60 hours a week, and you try to make
Close.
content when
Yeah.
you have time. But
Yeah.
no, I get.
And then I want to
So
play
you're on
golf every
social,
once in a while.
but then also if they go to the kingdom, like how do they find you? Do you have to request you at the kingdom or what?
No, just sends it to our front office and they'll be in touch with my stuff. The best one, I mean, like, it's the Kingdom at Reynolds Lake Oconee. You can find it actually probably on either the TaylorMade site or our site at Reynolds. But if you start typing into Google the Kingdom at Reynolds, it'll pop
Can they
up
request you
like
if they
that.
go there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
That's
I'm
cool.
always there. I'm there Tuesday through Saturday, so somebody's there. Usually always there. But it's an awesome place to teach, and we get people better. I mean, that's the whole job, right?
That's the best
Um,
part.
I like getting people better, and if I don't, then that's my fault, and we'll figure it out. I'm not gonna let it be my fault for long.
I played golf like 2 weeks ago with a buddy of mine, or 2 weeks ago. It wasn't 3 weeks ago. And I played him for a year. I've been practicing a lot, and I've been like being instruction and like all this crap, right? And I was at 25 last year when I quit my job, and like now I'm a 15, right? So that's a big
It's a big
swing.
difference. It's a big jump.
Yeah, and like I'm trying to get down to 9. Like my goal is to get to a 9 this year. I don't know if I can get to it, but that's my goal, right? So like if I can get down to a 9,
It's a
that'd be
good
sick.
goal.
Yeah, it's a good goal. If I get down a couple more strokes, that'd be cool too. So like I played with him. I shot an 84, and he was like, "What the f, dude?" And
Nice.
he's like a 5 or something, and he shot an 82 or something. He's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "What's up, dude?"
Ah.
I was like, I loved it. It was so cool, dude. It was like I was like, I don't know. That's the best part about golf, right? It's like when you're in the zone and you're hitting like greens and you're like hitting shots and they're like exactly what you wanted to do. You're like,
hmm
oh, I really like this game. Not just like, oh, I'm
Yes.
just spraying it and I'm gonna get a 5 or a 6. You know,
Usually
it's
that
like,
just
oh,
usually that just happens on 18, and then you're like, damn it, I gotta play again now.
it actually happened to me the
You're
first
like,
time
God, this is really
on
good. I gotta come back.
one of my first driver shot. I haven't warmed up when I hit a house. That's usually what happens to me. But all right, so we can find you on at the Kingdom site, right?
Yep.
We can find
Kingdom
you.
website. You can find me on Skillist.
If they want to do
Also, if
online
y'all are on
instruction
Skillist,
though with you, like how do they find you? Is there like a
it's on
place for that?
Skillist, the app Skillist. It's also on my bio on
Instagram,
Instagram.
like Linktree or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on there. I think it's on there. I don't know. but you can go to skillest.com. You can type in my name. I'm on there. And the way that works, you send in videos. I'll send you an analysis and some drills to work on, me talking about it. I have 0 pre-recorded drills for that. So anytime someone sends me
A
something,
la
it's all
carte, right?
custom.
It's like,
It's
yeah,
all
it's like
custom.
do
Like
you. It's not bullshit.
I don't
Like it's
have
not
like,
like, oh,
I don't
here's
have a
my
file.
plan of how to.
I mean, I have a file of them that, like, as we go along, hey, look, this is a drill I want you to try. But everybody's, especially the first few times, like it is, hey, look, this is just for you.
How you
Like
gonna
I'm not
exactly? How are you gonna help somebody if you don't even know what they can do, right? So
right.
it's like, or not do.
And I tell people all the
Um,
time, like the skillest thing, the only thing hard with the online is sometimes drills work and sometimes they don't. And when I have somebody in front of me, I know within a couple swings that the drill's going to work. I don't know that when they're thousands of miles away. So I usually give people a couple drills and, hey, look, try these out, see which one you can do.
and they film all of
You
them
know,
and then they send them back to
and
you.
they
Is that
send
how
them
they do
back
it?
and I'll tell them, hey, look, that's the one. Do that. That's going to help you, right?
Yeah, they didn't help you. They didn't help you.
Right. If
That's
if
cool.
it's too hard or it's too easy, either way, I'm not going to have you do that drill. That means you don't need it.
That's
But if it's
cool.
something that, hey, look, you got to work on a little bit, but you can also do it, then there's kind of our drill.
So there's lots of places you can find you. So we can find you on the app. We can find you on Instagram. We can find you on the site. Or just Google
Yeah.
his name, you guys. Like
Yeah.
seriously,
It'll
find
pop up.
how we
It'll
do.
either be me. It's funny. It'll either be me or Sydney Crosby's sister. Her name's Taylor Crosby. Also, it's very weird.
No relation. No relation.
No relation. Oh, that'd be cool to be related to Sydney Crosby. That'd be tight. But
Well, thank you so much for being on
yeah,
the
man.
show. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we had to finally
Thanks for having me
connect with
on.
each other and like I had fun. Like, dude, he's
Yeah.
fun as hell. And he's super smart. Like this guy knows his stuff. So like honestly, like if you guys have a chance to work with him, I would highly recommend it. It's really kind of exciting to have him on the show. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for having me on.